Hi, in this video I'm going to take you through the ins and outs in getting set up on your JM Run Coach training log. There are 4 different options for the training log. There is Google Sheets, and within the Google Sheets there are kilometers or miles, and there's also Excel versions of these, also once again in kilometers and in miles. So there's something for everybody depending on whichever format you like to use. One of the biggest benefits to this particular format is most of us these days use Strava, Garmin Connect, or some other app to capture our data for our training. However, what that doesn't do is it doesn't give you a full training block in one view. You have to go through and flip through day after day after day to look at how each training session went. When you put it into a single page view, it really clarifies everything. What is working, what is not working, what has worked in the past, and what has not worked in the past. I have used these for the last number of probably 6 years, not this exact format, but something similar. This format I've been using for at least 3 years, and my performance has gotten better and better and better, and that's obvious. If it can be measured, it can be improved. So this is a really powerful tool at your fingertips. Okay, when you open it up, you'll see 5 tabs. There's the dashboard, the running plan, the instructions, reference data, and a sample week. The sample week just gives you an idea of what it's going to look like, or what it should look like, and I don't even think we need to go there, but we'll start with the instructions tab. The instructions tab gives you your 5 steps that you need to take to get this set up. It's really straightforward. Anybody can do it. You don't need to be technical with regards to this. All the technical work is done for you. You just need to enter your data. So there's 5 steps, and then there's a description of all the different types of runs and a description of all the data points, the format they need to be entered in, and what they are measuring. So in the instructions, it tells you the first place you need to go is the reference data tab. So let's go set that up first. In the reference data tab, you have 3 columns: extra other, type of run, and enter your running shoes. So extra other. The training plan has a place to track your runs, your distance, and all the related data according to your run. There's also a place to record how much time you spent strength training and how much time you spent doing yoga. When I say yoga, that means stretching, okay? Can be yoga, can be stretching, can be Pilates, could be mobility work, whatever is relevant to you. The extra other is the other things that may be relevant to your training and affect your training. So this is all customizable. You put in what is relevant to you. There are 12 spaces. I've put in a few that you may or may not use, but it's customizable. Change them as you wish. The types of run. These are described in the instructions tab. And if you purchased a plan that has pre-populated training structure, these are the types of runs you will see on it. You can change this as well. So you have 12 slots that you can fill, change, do as you see fit. The last tab, the running shoe tab, is going to be what you currently are using in your shoe rotation. I like to advise my runners to use a shoe rotation just as an injury prevention type of procedure, but you may not have more than 1 pair of shoes. You can put up to 12. I don't know, I actually do know people that will have more than 12 in their rotation, but you put in yours here. Now we're ready to set up the main running plan tab. Okay, first step here is we're going to put our name in. So I will put mine, my event, and the event date. Now, when I put the event date here, you'll see the week ending dates will change the whole way down. The weekly week ending date. So London is the 27th, the 4th, 2025. Watch that date there. That has now worked 16 weeks back, and it has changed all the weeks coming up. Next is setting up the weekly targets. I measure my daily calories, I measure my macros, I use MyFitnessPal to do that. I will have weekly targets per day. So on a high volume week, I may be up around 2,600 calories. On a low volume week, I could be as low as 2,000 calories per day. As a target, I use these as a guide for when I need to fuel more and when I am trying not to fuel more, So let's just say, for example, I'm looking at 2,200 calories per day for this first week. I will also track my weight. You may look to be trending down or trending up. It depends on what your particular goals are. I'm just going to put in my weekly target weight of 155. Now, every Friday, I weigh myself and I enter my weekly weight. I also enter my weekly VO2 max that my watch is giving me. I'm not overly concerned whether that is a correct number. I'm looking for the trend of that number throughout the training block. Okay, now we're going to set up the day-to-day training. If this was a plan that you purchased, these orange boxes would be filled in, and this first box here would have the coaching notes, what we're looking to work on. But this is the blank training plan, so it has nothing, and you fully customize it. So let's start with a 5K easy run here on Monday. Okay, now I'm going to enter my daily data. So let's look at sleep. My watch has reported that I've had 55 minutes of deep sleep, 3.5 hours of light sleep, and 2 hours and 45 minutes of REM sleep. This data is one of the only tricky ones. The sleep data and the amount of time strength training and yoga are the only three fields that are a bit tricky, okay? Because they're duration fields, they're time duration fields, and in order to aggregate and calculate and get averages, we need to have it in a specific format. So it's hours, minutes, seconds. You will be thrown in error if you put it in a wrong format. It won't accept it. Okay, so we said 55 minutes of deep sleep. So that's going to be 0, 55, 0. For light sleep, we said 3.5 hours. So that's 3 hours, 30 minutes. And for REM sleep, we said 2 hours, 45 minutes. Okay. Average resting heart rate for the day. Garmin, I use the Garmin. The Garmin gives that to me. It does not include your resting heart rate while you're sleeping, only throughout the day. So it's in the heart rate widget. It's not in the sleep widget. There is a resting heart rate in the sleep widget, but that's not the one I'm capturing here. The average resting heart rate for me is a really good key indicator for overall fitness level. It's one of a few that I really buy into a lot. And I can see it for me personally is a huge indicator. So let's just say it was 45. Okay. Now, when it comes to protein, carbs, and fat, I mentioned I use MyFitnessPal, and I'll look at the nutritional data. I have a target of 2,200 calories. Let's see how I worked it out. This will calculate your calories for you based on your macros. Okay, so It may not, the overall number may not match MyFitnessPal, but make sure when you enter your data into MyFitnessPal, you're using the right foods and that it has nutritional information broken down. Because sometimes you'll pick something, you'll search for eggs, and it'll give you the overall calories, but it won't break down your macros for you. So make sure you've got the right ones in. But let's say I had 130 grams of protein, I had 280 grams of carbs, and 68 grams of fat. Okay, that gives me 2,252 calories for the day. I'm 52 calories over my target. That's not bad. I'll be happy enough with that. Now I'm going to capture my water. I drank 3 liters of water, so that's 3,000 mil. Strength training, I did 1 hour and 15 minutes, so we'll say 1 hour, 15, 0. Like I say, that needs to be hours, minutes, seconds, and the same with yoga. So that will be, I did 45 minutes of yoga, 0, 45, 0. And number of daily steps, let's say I had 11,560. So my run, so let's say I also did, did a cold plunge after that run. It was an easy run, but maybe I wanted to have a cold plunge after. I don't know. Distance run. So it was a 5K session. I ended up at 5.18 kilometers. Type of run is going to be easy. Average cadence, let's say it was 175. Stride length, let's say 1.12. Overall pace, say 5:30. Trainers, I used my Novablast. And in the notes, we're just going to put in things like what the weather was like, what the conditions were like, where I ran, was I on the trails, was I on the road, what course I took, was it hilly, who did I run with, how I felt, did I experience any pain, that kind of stuff, anything that's relevant. So just put in some notes. This was my normal 5K route, and the weather was sunny and warm with slight breeze. I ran alone and felt fine. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a few minutes, enter the rest of this weekend, and we'll come back and have a look. So welcome back. I've entered a whole bunch of test data here, and you can see it totaled up to 42 kilometers. When it calculated how many kilometers I actually ran, it came out to 46.72. And I think most of that came down to Tuesday, where I had 6 by 1K reps. I didn't include my warm-up and cool-down on this plan, but I actually ran 2K warm-up and a 2K cool-down. So that's where the majority of that 4.72 kilometers over what my target was came from. Okay, and on Friday, I did my weigh-in. Let's say I was 154.8, and my VO2 max came in at 48. Okay, you can see the aggregate numbers here has given me an average of 42 minutes of deep sleep, 3 hours 59 minutes of light sleep, 2 hours 41 minutes of REM sleep, and I averaged 7 hours and 23 minutes of sleep per night. When it came to average resting heart rate, it's at 43 for the week. My nutrition, I averaged 127 grams of protein, 276 grams of carbs, and 67 grams of fat, and I averaged 2,212 calories per day, which is 12 calories over my target, which is basically I nailed my targets there. I averaged 2.9 liters of water a day. I got a total of 2 hours, 49 minutes of strength training, 2 hours and 40 minutes of yoga, total of 96,000 steps for the week, and an average of 13,765 steps per day. And we mentioned the total kilometers ran was 46.72, and it was targeted to run 42 kilometers. I would put in some weekly notes here. You know, this was a great week of training. I feel strong and lean. I'm running well. Whatever. Whatever is important to you to capture. Okay, so that's how you enter the data. Now let's have a look at the dashboard, which is really where it comes into its own. The dashboard gives you a lot of interesting information in a much more concise way. So I can look at how many kilometers per running shoe I've actually ran in. I can check my weight change during the training block. So right now there's only the one data point here. However, as the weeks go on, this is either going to trend down, or it's going to trend up, or it's going to, flatline, or it's going to be up and down, up and down. Whatever it is, and it'll give you an indication of whether you are on target or you're not hitting your targets, or whatever it is. It'll paint a picture for you. The weekly average resting heart rate, I love seeing that come down slightly. And the weekly volume, this is probably going to be something like up, 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 down, up, 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 down, up, 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 down. So you're taking your cutback weeks where you're getting your adaptation, you're giving your body the chance to recover and build back stronger. Okay, so it gives me my average sleep by sleep type. And this is, again, over the course of the entire training block. Same with the macros and how much of the percentage of the entire plan has been achieved so far. And then you've got your aggregates here, which is a really interesting picture as to how your training is going. So that is it. I think you will notice that this is really powerful and useful information in a far more useful format than, say, Strava or Garmin Connect or Runner or any of these other places. So give it a shot. Enjoy the training experience, and you will see significant improvements as you use these training block after training block after training block, just as I have. Good luck.